Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating Jataka tale, the Mataka Pata Jataka. It tackles a huge question, one that people have asked for centuries. Does killing an animal, even as part of a sacred ritual, actually bring you good karma? Let's find out. So, let's get right into it. The whole story kicks off when the Buddhist disciples see something that was, well, pretty common back then. People were sacrificing tons of goats and sheep at funerals, all in an effort to honor their ancestors. So they went to the Buddha and asked him straight up, can this act, this killing, really lead to anything good? Now, the Buddha could have just given them a simple yes or no, but he didn't. Instead, he decided to show them the answer through a story. He reached way back into one of his own past lives to share a tale that perfectly illustrates a timeless truth about our actions and, what comes back from them. Okay, so he sets the scene for us in the ancient, bustling city of Varanasi. And here we meet a very well-respected Brahmin. This guy was a master of the 3 sacred Vedas, a really learned teacher. And at this particular time, he was getting ready for a huge ritual feast called a Matakabata, all to honor his ancestors. For this feast, a sacrifice was needed. So the Brahmin chose just one goat. He told his students to take it down to the river, give it a good bath, and then put a beautiful garland of flowers around its neck before bringing it back for the main event. So the students are down by the river, getting the goat ready, when something totally bizarre happens. Out of nowhere, the goat lets out this huge, joyful laugh. Like it just heard the funniest joke in the world. But then, just a second later, that joy completely disappears, and it starts to cry these deep, sorrowful tears. The students were, you can imagine, completely confused. They immediately asked the goat, "Hey, what's going on? Why did you laugh and then cry?" But the goat was a bit mysterious. It just said, "You need to ask your master about this, but make sure you do it when I'm there too." So they took the goat right back to the Brahmin to figure this out. The Brahmin hears this story from his students, and of course, he's curious. So he looks at the goat and asks it directly to explain itself. And that's when the goat, using this incredible ability to remember all of its past lives, starts to tell a story that is about to change everything. The goat starts its story by saying, I wasn't always a goat. A long, long time ago, I was a man just like you, a respected Brahmin. And in that life, I did the exact same thing you're about to do. I sacrificed a single goat for this very same ritual. And then came the really shocking part. The goat revealed the consequences of that one single act. For killing that one goat, it had already been beheaded for 499 lifetimes in a row. Just think about that number for a second. Wow. And suddenly, the laughter made perfect sense. The goat explained it was laughing out of pure joy, out of this incredible sense of relief. It knew that today, right now, was the day its long, horrible cycle of suffering would finally be over. This was it, the 500th and final time. So then, why the tears? Well, this is the really powerful part. The goat wasn't crying for itself. It was crying for the Brahmin. It was weeping out of compassion because it knew that by killing it, the Brahmin was about to kick off the very same terrible cycle for himself, 500 lifetimes of suffering, all because of this one act. The Brahmin was absolutely horrified. This story just shook him to his very core. He immediately looked at the goat and said, "Do not be afraid, my friend. I will not kill you. I promise I will protect you." He was determined to stop this from happening. And he meant it. The Brahmin untied the goat, set it free, and then got all his students together. They formed this little protective bubble around the animal, following it everywhere to make sure absolutely nothing bad could happen to it. But the goat, it seemed to know better. It understood how karma works. It looked at the Brahmin and calmly said something like, "Look, your intention to protect me is kind, but it's small. The karma from the sin I committed, that is great." It knew that some things just can't be stopped. Right as the goat is saying this, it wanders over to a big flat rock to nibble some leaves off a bush. And at that exact moment, a storm cloud rolls in out of nowhere, and a bolt of lightning cracks down from the sky, hitting that rock with incredible force. The lightning strike shattered that rock, sending a razor-sharp piece of it flying through the air. And that splinter, it hit the goat right on its outstretched neck, killing it instantly. Exactly as it had foreseen, The debt of its karma was finally paid. A huge crowd gathered, totally stunned by what they'd just seen. And then a divine being, a tree spirit called a Rukadevata, appeared in the sky. This was actually the Bodhisattva, the Buddha in a former life, and he was there to explain the profound lesson behind this incredible event. And with this really beautiful, clear voice, the deity gave everyone the core message of the story. He said that if people truly understood that this life is full of suffering, they would never harm another living being, because whoever causes harm will, without a doubt, end up grieving themselves. So the teaching here is really clear, right? The act of killing just creates this powerful, unavoidable ripple of suffering. The story shows us that the real way to escape all this grief isn't through rituals that cause harm, but through developing a deep and genuine compassion for every living thing. And then, after telling the whole story, the Buddha brought it all back to the present moment. He looked at his disciples and revealed, "In that lifetime, I was that tree deity who taught the crowd." By saying this, he wasn't just telling a story, he was confirming its truth, linking his past wisdom directly to his teachings now. And that's the powerful story of the Matakabhata Jataka. It's such a clear lesson about our actions and the incredible wisdom of choosing compassion. We really hope this explainer has given you something valuable to think about. And with that, may all of you be happy.